All right, so uh, dry brushing is like easy to pick up, hard to master kind of thing. But basically, take your dry brush, get it into paint, and I'm doing this through my camera, so it's a little hard for me to see. There we go. So you want to kind of get in there and make sure you get the brush like kind of nice and loaded. But the next step is basically just like wiping away as much as you can, so that you have very little left on the brush. So, like, if you're putting down this much, that's way, way too much. Let me center that. Like, you want to get most of this off, but like, when it starts getting to like this kind of consistency, when you're like putting down like about this much with like a little bit of pressure, that's what you want. Because then when you do like really light pressure, you'll be putting down very, very little of it. And then if you add a little bit more pressure, you'll be putting down more. Um, General rule of thumb is also kind of to like flip your brush around a little bit like this because if you're only working on one side, you're only pulling paint from one side. But when it starts to feel like you're putting a lot of pressure on and you're really not putting anything down, it's basically just time to reload the brush again. Um, so yeah, you get your paint, and you put more on. If it's a little spongy, that's kind of about the consistency you want it to be, like kind of spongy. If the stuff you got is older, it'll kind of be more powder like. Let's see if I can get a. It's kind of difficult with the lighting situation here, but like it'll be very kind of. It'll either be spongy or like crazy powdery, kind of like this. Both are fine. Like there's actually still moisture in there. Um, and you just got to work it into the brush. And then work it out of the brush basically. And again, that's pretty simple. Um, I like to use my hand. Um, using a black surface, like this is a piece of black like foam core board, is also good. It's a little expensive to just keep like reusing that, but it shows up best on black backgrounds will really give you an idea of how much paint is on the brush. But your hand also works pretty well too, and that's free. Maybe a monthly increase in like hand soap. The other thing that's useful with your hand is that you can kind of see how it'll react to texture, like how much force and how much texture it'll cover. Um, but yeah, you'll do this both ways for Necron Compound and Sigmarite for the gold. And I'm gonna pause this, I guess, and see if I can find a mini to show you like how to do it, because you kind of, well, like, I can kind of do it on this board too, but I'll do a mini as well. Like another key is like when you're painting with it, you really want to try to hit like the edges of things. So like you don't you don't have to, like, you do want to hit the field a little bit, but you really want to also make sure you're going over these edges. You see how like as I apply, that edge starts to get shinier and shinier, but not much is actually getting laid down like along the field. Again, you do want a little bit of it just to like tie the whole thing together. And if you're working with something that's kind of round like the shoulder pads, like you will just do that naturally as you kind of hit the edges of that shoulder pad. Your brush looks to be about as big as mine, which for something about that size might be a little too big. But since you've only got the one, like really try to just hit it with the very corner. Um, this may require you to like load up your brush a little bit more. But yeah, just have something nearby. Like I use for a lot of my dry brushing, I use this cutting mat that's black. Like this is all of this paint on here is from me just testing out my dry brushes to see what they're dropping down. Um, So yeah, that's kind of dry brushing 101. I'll send you a video of like me actually doing it on a model here in a second.